My project was on the the title of my essay was the capricious rise of xenophobia, and what it was about technically was how religion plays a role in the prevalence of racism and discrimination between different groups of people. So I was what the purpose was to compare the civil rights movement and modern day racism when it comes down to Muslims. And when you look back during the civil rights movement, there was a lot of racism which was used where they used the Bible and biblical verses, talking about how African Americans were less, or that that if you were rich and if you were poor, it was a curse by God, and if you were rich and if you were white, it was a blessing from God. And this was a lot of misconception or manipulative ways people used religion during the civil rights movement, to the point where, depending on the church, if it was from a white man's church, as they were called, some churches were called white, like people knew where to go, and some of those churches were just specific for white people, some were for black people. There's a lot of segregation even in churches. So even in churches, because of that racism, the white churches would always, uh, sometimes, well, not always, but some churches would use biblical verses to justify why the white man is in power, why the white man is so religious, why the white man is so uh, uh, greater than any other race, right? It was like to provide them superiority. And even today, you discuss these kinds of things, and even today, Jesus, peace be upon him, has there's an issue about him, and people say that he's white, right? They have to give him an ethnic title, even though it's not confirmed. His life isn't recorded, but uh, you know, th- but just because this is the ideology or the way of thinking, people think he's white, right? So this kind of racism was very active during the civil rights movement, and it was used as propaganda against black Americans, like, because when people saw it from an aspect of religion, some hierarchy, meaning that this is divine from God, that black people are meant to be below as opposed to whites, then it gave it an official stamp, so to call it, right? Uh, and now, comparing that, the purpose of my essay was to compare that to how modern day today we have the same kind of cyclic prevalence of racism that has reoccurred. You look at the Muslims today, the way religion is misused is this concept of jihad. Right? Jihad is people talk about jihad and they have a very, very, very manipulative and distorted conception of jihad. The main meaning of jihad is an inner struggle, right? And the inner struggle is to fight your own desires and to better yourself as a person. That's what the real essence of jihad is. There is a jihad which is the holy war, when you are being oppressed and your entire country is being oppressed. Then you have to go and fight against them. You have to, because if you can't do it through peaceful means, then you have to fight back. You don't just let them kill you and your families. You have to stand for justice, right? But this concept of jihad is misused not just by Americans, or not is it only just misunderstood by Americans. There are Muslims who also use this in a negative way or in a manipulative way to attract people to fight in war, to commit terrorist actions, and and it is there are some Muslims who use the Quranic text to justify it. But the Arabic language, in my paper, I talk about the Arabic language and um, how metaphorical it is and how it's hard to understand. Not any normal man, can just open the Quran and look at the Arabic text and know the deep, deep meaning. They can know the simple, but they can't take something out of context, right? You have to understand. And even with that, the issue still stays the same. So when comes down to how jihad is misinterpreted today in America, you see many people that they talk about jihad and they think that what it means is to fight the Christians and the Jews, and it's not that. That's not the purpose behind it. But because of this way of thinking, religion plays a role in providing this way of thinking, and it's misused. And because it's misused, there's so much racism that exists against Muslims, like racial profiling. You go into the airport. If your name is Muhammad, or if you're from a Muslim country, you know you you're held back, and you're questioned, even though your record is clean and everything, right? So this racism, not only did it exist with African Americans, it exists with Muslims, and it's not just the Christian religion; it's also the Muslim religion, right? Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all these religions, ha- although they bring morality, although the purpose is morality, they also bring a lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of difficulties, and they can be manipulated, and only because they can be manipulated, only because they can be misused against different people, and when they're taken out of context, it can cause a lot of problems and a lot of issues within different groups and different races. And but the idea of religion, someone I heard a saying which was, religion isn't corrupt, but man is corrupt, and because man is corrupt, he makes religion corrupt. And this is what my essay has to do with the whole aspect of comparing religion, and how it also has a negative aspect even during the civil rights movement, and even today, and how it affects races and how it increases racism.